We're power ranking the NFC, those teams in the way of the San Francisco 49ers getting back to the next Super Bowl 16 through 1. Are the 49ers number one? Coming up on today's Locked On 49ers.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker at BD Peacock at Crocky209. Thanks everybody for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We love our everydayers, and we really appreciate it when you hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, turn that on so you know when a new episode's live on YouTube. Of course, you can subscribe anywhere you are listening to this podcast. And today's episode of Locked On 49ers is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So we talked about the NFC West a little bit, kind of looking at teams now that the dust has settled in the offseason. The free agency period is done. The draft is done. There might be a few more free agents here and there. Maybe even a trade pops up here over the course of the summer. But we know what these teams look like. We're into phase, 4 of the offseason. Mandatory mini camps coming and going. And so we know what these teams look like now. So now that we've had a chance to look at them, we talked about the NFC West yesterday. Let's fold the West now into the entire conference. NFC Power Rankings, Croc. We're going from the bottom to the top. So this is almost projecting the draft order here at the bottom of this thing. And the easy 16th team to me in the NFC is the Carolina Panthers. They're the worst team in the NFL. They earned the number one pick in the draft last year, and the goofballs traded it away the draft before, so they couldn't even use it. Let the Chicago Bears go draft potentially a franchise-changing quarterback. We'll see if the quarterback that the Carolina Panthers traded up to get with that extra first-round pick makes it worthwhile in his second season. Bryce Young, I think it's a little bit dubious there. New coach in Carolina. Will you fight me about the Panthers being 16th in the NFC Power Rankings?
Absolutely not. And it's going to be a really tough uphill battle for them. There is always a team that goes from bad to good. So could it be the Carolina Panthers? Maybe, but I definitely don't foresee that happening. This is a team that had to get better in a lot of different places. And I like some of the things that they've done in this last draft, getting Xavier Leggett, getting Jonathan Brooks, getting Jatavion Sanders, right? So there are some guys that they're bringing in to potentially be playmakers for that offense so they can improve on that side of the ball, but still a really big uphill climb for those guys, needing to really build up that offensive line. The young players I just mentioned, they're going to need time in the NFL to get things going, and still not quite sure exactly what Bryce Young is. Really hard to tell when everything around him is so protrude, but not looking good for the Carolina Panthers. So I think it is really easy to say, worst team in the NFL.
15. Last year was the Arizona Cardinals. I was glowing about what the Cardinals have done the last couple of off seasons, getting that ship righted. They've added a lot of big-time talent to the team. You have a full season now of Kyler Murray that has the new offense, down, I would think, after coming back last year. I don't know that the Cardinals are still 15, though, Croc. Who do you think is the 15th team in the NFC?
I like that you threw the Cardinals out there. I don't think it's going to be them. I think Washington Commanders. I mean, again, anytime you're going in and everything is on a rookie, and they have some good things in place. I like what they have at the running back position, the receiver position, but again, another team that just needed a lot of help. And there are some other teams that we'll mention that's kind of near the bottom, and I feel like the Washington Commanders, I didn't call them the Redskins, did I?
No, you said it right. You said okay. Commanders.
In my head, I was saying Redskins, but the Commanders, I'm not quite sure that they're going to take a big jump. And I like Jaden Daniels. I'm excited to watch him at the NFL level. But I think with how he played at LSU, he was more a playmaker. And I think at the NFL level, it's just a little bit harder to playmaker your way into being really good as a rookie. So has to learn to be a little bit quicker with his decision-making. He's not going to be able to just beat teams with his legs. I think there's going to be some growing pains there. eventually maybe he'll be terrific. But I think year one, I could see them maybe not getting out to as fast as a start as they would like.
Yeah, they were a 4-win team last year and, traded away stud defensive linemen. I'm using stud loosely. We saw one of those defensive linemen come to the San Francisco 49ers. But they were trading away pieces. They have a rookie quarterback in there now. Now they already had bad quarterback play, I think last year, subpar quarterback play with multiple quarterbacks there. So I don't know if that's worse necessarily, but I don't think it's a team that's ready to take a huge step yet either for the Washington Commanders, even if they've made progress. So kind of like, a year behind, maybe like where the Arizona Cardinals were last year. So I'm not going to fight you on that one. I like Washington being 15. I would nominate even the New York Giants next because they were a 6-win team last year. And I just don't know where, Malik Neighbors is a talented guy, but, is a wide receiver really the thing that team needed to take a huge step? I don't believe in their quarterback room in New York. They added Drew Lock as, backup sort of quote unquote competition to Daniel Jones. Their number one receiving weapon has retired, so they don't have that veteran option anymore. You had Malik Neighbors to the mix with Wan'Dale Robinson and guys like Darian Slayton. They did bring in Allen Robinson, I guess, as a free agent, but he's been kind of cooked there for a little while. Isaiah McKenzie, speedy, a little wide receiver. Jalen Hyatt, downfield, threat, kind of one-dimensional guy. I don't really know what to make of that group. They've had problems on the offensive line, figuring that out. On defense, they brought in Brian Burns. That's a huge addition off the edge to go with Kayvon Thibodeau. Can they cover guys though in the back end? I don't know. I'm not big on the New York Giants. I might have the Giants below the Arizona Cardinals on this list.
Not a big fan of what the Giants are doing right now. And, this is come off the heels of getting an offensive minded head coach, but maybe he doesn't quite have his quarterback. And Daniel Jones in his best year, I mean, he ran the ball very well, left a lot to be desired in the passing game. Now, maybe it was the receivers. You threw out some names like Wan'Dale Robinson, shout out to my guy, Isaiah Hodgins, but, Hodgins isn't someone that's going to really move the needle for you, right? Guy they got off the practice squad from Buffalo. Not like Hodgins. That's my guy. But I still think there's a lot to be desired at the receiver position, even with Neighbors going over there. They have thrown guys out there, but he's like, okay, what is the direction you're going in? Hyatt does have speed. Is he a guy that could take his game to the next level with Wan'Dale Robinson and maybe Malik Neighbors and still got to improve at the tight end position, losing their Darren Waller. A lot of work needs to be done. And defensively, how are they doing over there on that side of the ball? I think that defense kind of kept them in a lot of things.
So we're on 14 after Carolina and Washington. I think the next two kind of have to be Arizona and New York. Which order would you have them? I would say New York 14, and I like Arizona 13.
I will not fight you on that order. We talked about Arizona yesterday.
Yeah.
Not sure what to make of them, but it does seem like a team that's going to be healthier, at least entering the season. I don't know what Kyler Murray is going to be. I haven't been big on him since I found out he had issues with studying the playbook and watching film. And I think especially for a guy that's smaller in stature, has to play maybe a little bit faster mentally. How are you going to do that when you're not really dialed in and you're trying to just win everything off of athleticism? And we've seen them. I mean, there was a season where they get out to 8-0 start. Like there was a season they started hot. So that he has that kind of ability to lead the team, but you've seen that very far and few in between because I think he's an inconsistent player. So they're going to go as he goes. And if he's not able to really get things going, this will be a very rocky start for this team.
We're on to the 12th best team in the NFC. And I think there's a number of teams that we can nominate here. I think it gets very difficult in the middle of this mix. So let's talk about 12 through 1 next. Power ranking the NFC on Locked On 49ers. This episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by Gametime. Gametime makes getting NBA Finals tickets, Major League Baseball tickets, NFL tickets, comedy, concerts, theater events, all those tickets faster and easier because prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to kickoff. Killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Gametime takes all the guesswork out of buying whatever tickets to whatever event you're trying to get to. I love using Gametime to go to a Giants game, jump into the city, go see the San Francisco Giants. I got some tickets for $11 a couple weeks ago. It was super easy. You could get tickets up to not only the start of an event, but even an hour after the event starts, saving up to 60% off last-minute tickets. View from your seat, love that. You pull up the seat, and it's not just a picture of what the seat would look like. You get a panoramic view. You move your phone around. If you look over there, you see what it looks like over there. If you look over there, you see what it looks like over there. It's fantastic. So take all the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, we're counting up from the 16-1 in the NFC Power Rankings, Croc. We got Carolina Panthers, Washington Commanders, New York Giants, Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to nominate a couple teams. We might have to hammer this out because this is going to be difficult. The Minnesota Vikings were a 7-10 team last year. They're worse than they were last year. They lost Kirk Cousins. They're going to start either Sam Darnold, most likely Sam Darnold early, then at some point J.J. McCarthy, a rookie quarterback. They lost Danielle Hunter, their best player on the defensive side of the ball. You lose your quarterback and your best pass rusher, that's usually not good in the wins and losses department, Croc. Now, they locked up their star receiver, and I love that, but a receiver can't carry a team without the quarterback play to go with it. And so I don't think the Minnesota Vikings are going to be that good. I think I understand where they're at and why they had to go get a quarterback and start things over there. And it's a difficult spot that they have to be in. So sort of a retool for the Minnesota Vikings. But when you consider the Bears got better in their own division, the Falcons got Kirk Cousins from them, new coaching staff there that I think is an upgrade for the Atlanta Falcons. The Saints, I don't even know who else you'd put in here, and I'm going to nominate the Vikings to be 12 on this list.
I think you can even nominate them to be lower on this list. Like this is a team, you nailed a lot of key departures for the Minnesota Vikings. This was a team that was not great even last season with Kirk Cousins, even up until he got hurt. And then once he left, they were just bad. And I think this year there's going to be a big learning curve. Like, is Sam Darnold going to come in and just start slinging it and killing defenses? Not sure. I'm not expecting that.
Look, I'm going to throw like $4 down on Sam Darnold comeback player of the year, by the way, though, just because that is one possible angle that could happen. Like Sam Darnold to Justin Jefferson could light the league on fire this year. He's a talented guy. He's got the best arm in San Francisco 49ers history. The best thrower, excuse me.
Best thrower. Not sure about that. I'd say by week 6, McCarthy might be the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings.
And gets the plan. I think that's absolutely the plan. So Minnesota Vikings locked into the 12th spot. I don't love the Derek Carr-led New Orleans Saints right now. The Bears still have to prove it, and they have a rookie quarterback. It's Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield showed a little something last year. They won the South with a 9-8 record, but they didn't blow you away. We've seen the Buccaneers a few times recently against the Niners, and they're not an impressive football team. The Los Angeles Rams lost the best defensive player of his generation in Aaron Donald. So who's up next for you at 11 in the NFC?
Yeah, I go with the Saints as well. They're right there in that mix, in that range. This is a team that I'm not very optimistic about. They don't even know exactly what's going to happen at the quarterback position. Obviously, they assume, Derek Carr. But I heard them talking up Spencer Rattler. Can a rookie eventually just say, you know what, we're going to rip the Band-Aid off, play the younger guy over Carr? They'll give Carr his shot. But is he a difference maker for this team? And I think at this point in his career, like Carr, this one year where I felt like, man, this is a really good quarterback. And then he got hurt later in that year. And I feel like it's gotten worse every year since then. So Not expecting a whole lot out of the Saints. Another team who I feel like is probably a little bit more on the downslide.
Saints at 11, number 10. How much are you buying Chicago Bears and a rookie quarterback? The Atlanta Falcons were a 7-win team. How much does Kirk Cousins and a new coaching staff help the Atlanta Falcons? And I'd probably say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are next on this list. Those are my next three. I don't know how I want to slot them necessarily.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't think that. I think we got to start with the Atlanta Falcons here. I'm not big on the Atlanta Falcons. This is a team that was terrible on defense, and I feel like they've only kind of gotten worse.
Look, they had some of the worst quarterback play in the league last year, and they're moving up to Kirk Cousins. He's throwing to Drake London. They added Darnell Mooney. They added Ray McLeod. They added Rondale Moore as well. They got all different shapes and sizes at receiver there. And, of course, Kyle Pitts at tight end. They've got a good offensive line. I think the offense, I mean, Bijan Robinson, I just heard Raheem Morris yesterday. He's like, our goal is to give the ball to Bijan Robinson as much as possible. You want to Bijan Robinson in your fantasy leagues. And he was not good in fantasy leagues last year because they had some weird timeshare going on with the fifth rounder from the year before. And it was just odd what was happening on offense with bad quarterback play. They got Cousins, and then they drafted a quarterback at number 8 to go with him in Michael Penix. I'm with you on the defense, though. The defense was a weakness, and they got a couple of good players there. You know, they got AJ Terrell, they got Grady Jarrett, but it's not a phenomenal defense, but they're going to be better on offense. They have to be better on offense. Zach Robinson bringing in that Sean McVay style offense. So they're going to score points. I would say the Atlanta Falcons are more similar to the Los Angeles Rams to me, and I would have them over. And, you know, just having Kirk Cousins going from one team to the other, I would have the Falcons over the Vikings for sure. Yes. I think I like them over. I like them over the Bears for now, and Tampa, it's close.
So do you want to slot? Because the way you said that just now sounds like you want to put the Bears lower than the other two teams.
I think I kind of want to put the Bears at 10, and then Tampa, then Atlanta.
I like Tampa. I like Tampa for sure because I've seen them be very competent. Like, that's a competent team. They could push for a wild card spot. Like, I strongly believe that. I think that Baker Mayfield has finally found a team that, you know, it's like his home. Like, he feels wanted. So I assume that they'll continue to not play like lights out. But if, let's say the defense just is a little bit better, I think the offense is good enough to keep things rolling.
So that means we got Chicago Bears 10, Atlanta Falcons 9, Tampa Bay Buccaneers 8.
I like that. A lot of AFC South teams right there in that mix.
Yeah, that's the NFC South's done.
That's an NFC. My bad.
Yeah. NFC South is done. They're one of those teams has to make the playoffs. I'm probably going to pick the Atlanta Falcons over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but we've got them back to back. That's close. And so number 7, we're getting into the top 7 here, which are the playoff teams in the NFC. Sans one of those division winners in the NFC South. So one of these teams is probably not going to make the playoffs. One of these teams definitely not going to make the playoffs in that case. In the NFC that we still rank here. Let's get to that next segment. The top 7 in the NFC, and where do those 49ers come in next? So we differ on the Seahawks and Rams. If you listen to yesterday's podcast, you know that. I like the Seahawks more than the Rams. Croc likes the Rams. And I think we both have good reasons for it. I'm going to nominate the Rams here at 7. But I think probably Rams Seahawks should be back-to-back at 7 and 6.
Not mad at that at all. I definitely have the Rams higher than the Seahawks. But, you know, you made a compelling argument.
Seahawks
I think we should go on this one. I think we should go Seahawks, then Rams.
Yeah, Rams 7, Seahawks 6.
No. Seahawks 7, Rams 6.
Oh, you still want your order? That's what you're trying to say.
Yes.
That's what you're trying to tell me. Okay, I'm gonna let you have your order. Rams have a better roster. I don't know how the coaching staff is going to look, and the team is going to look a lot different. Maybe that makes them start slow. I just think they have so much better roster, and they have competent quarterback play, and I think it is a good coaching staff. But Stafford and McVay is a great combination in LA, and they got some weapons on offense. So, all right, you're betting on the offense. Let's go Rams 6, then Seattle 7 in our NFC Power Rankings, which brings us to the top 5, Croc. That is the Green Bay Packers, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Detroit Lions, the Dallas Cowboys, and the San Francisco 49ers. Who's the 5th best team in the NFC, Croc?
So this is tough. Are we talking about the team that's going to have the 5th best record? Because if that's the case, I could see Green Bay.
Nope. If every team played every other team neutral field, because I don't want to go by record, because that helps a team that's in a bad division, has an easier schedule. So basically we're going to go down to so the Packers play the Eagles in a neutral field. Who's a better team? Who wins that game?
See, the Eagles are, not the Eagles, the Packers. The Packers are going to be the interesting team because they are, I still don't know. I love the way they finished the season. They finished strong. I think there's a lot of, I don't even want to use the word hype, but there's a lot of excitement about the way Jordan Love played, especially down the stretch. He was one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. Very young receiver room. You'd assume that they would only get better. I like that they added Josh Jacobs in the backfield. Can they do it again? That's what's going to be the big thing. And if gun to my head, do I think that, they went in the Big D. They went into Dallas and ripped Cowboys a new one. But something in me says the Cowboys will be better than the Packers this year.
I do think they're the next two teams. I think it's the Cowboys and the Packers. The Packers are going to be better because they got a new defensive coordinator. Former 49ers coach Jeff Hafley is there, and I think they're a mess. They've got first-round draft picks everywhere on defense. They were underachieving on defense, and then you have Jordan Love, who's now confident. Another year in with a little older receiver group. Dontavian Wicks into year 2. You have Christian Watson, who's into year 3 now, and he's got his hamstring thing figured out. Did you hear the thing with Watson where one of his legs was 20% stronger, weaker than the other, and that's why he's having all of his hamstring issues, and so he's trying to fix that. Jaden Reed out of the slot, Luke Musgrave in his second year at tight end. They've got a kind of a patchwork offensive line, but they've got some talent there. Elton Jenkins, I love me some Zach Tom, a shadow 49er, and so. They could be a really good football team, but again, there's I think a lot of variance with them. My heart tells me I like the Packers more than the Cowboys. The Cowboys have done nothing to get better, but did they need to get better?
They kind of like the 49ers, right? Where it's a team that's no matter what, they're in the mix. The Cowboys are weird though, because when you see them in the playoffs, that's typically not the team that you see for an entirety of the regular season. So that's why when I was talking about records, they have good wins in the regular seasons. And last year you saw, obviously, what the 49ers did to them, but losing to the Arizona Cardinals, that don't help anything. But they are a very weird team. Every time the 49ers play them in the playoffs, I'm like, all right, got to play the Cowboys. You got Michael Parsons and, Dak Prescott. And then all of a sudden I'm reminded, no, you don't have anything to worry about. So they are a very tough team in the postseason. And obviously the 49ers have clearly had their number. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about Dallas. And then you saw how the Packers destroyed them. But again, can the Packers do that again?
You know what? That game was in Dallas too, right?
Yeah, just destroyed them.
How can we put the Packers below the Cowboys when they just played in the Cowboys' house and the Packers whooped them? And the Packers are better than they were last year, and the Cowboys aren't.
All right, yeah. All right, let's go Dallas at 5.
Okay, I'm actually flipping them because I actually already written down the Packers at 5, Dallas at 4. I'm going to swap it. It's got to be Packers at 4, Cowboys at 5.
Yeah. I feel confident with that too.
Then The San Francisco 49ers. No, come on. The San Francisco 49ers are clearly number one, Croc, right? Like, can we just let the cat out of the bag right now?
Yeah, they're number one seed.
The Eagles, the Lions, and the 49ers.
The 49ers have the highest Super Bowl odds. Like, come on, man.
The 49ers had a better record. They've got a better offense. They've got a better defense. Their players are more handsome. The uniforms look better. Their fans are better. The weather in their home city is better. The 49ers are the class of this conference, Croc, and they are clearly number one in the power rankings in the NFC and possibly the NFL.
Possibly the NFL.
We have to figure out, is it the Detroit Lions or is it the newly coordinated Philadelphia Eagles that are the biggest bump in the road in the NFC potential playoff? By the way, I just saw the 49ers had like a 75% chance of making the playoffs or something like that this year, which is a pretty high number, I think, historically. But I feel like that's like that 25% is entirely just injuries, right? Because
we've seen that too. Like we saw that the last time the 49ers went to a Super Bowl, the very next year
in 2020.
Yeah, the very next year. And I don't want to say it was like a Super Bowl hangover, but everybody got hurt.
Yeah.
And when everybody gets hurt, you don't win many games.
Yeah, but we're talking about healthy teams playing here. I love what Detroit's doing. I like the way they play. I mean, they had the 49ers too for a lot of that football game. The Niners were able to pull it out. But for the last, for like 18 months straight, the Philadelphia Eagles were the one seed in the NFC until they sort of started to falter at the end of last year. Did they get that fixed? Did they get that figured out? They've got firepower on offense. They got firepower on defense. They lost Hassan Reddick. They lost Jason Kelce. Those are big losses. I mean, they've got pieces to replace those guys. They've got bodies to replace them. They've done a lot of work on their secondary. So they've worked on their weaknesses. So on paper, they're a better football team than they were last year, and they were really good last year, especially in the first half of the season. Who do you like, Detroit or Philly?
Yeah, I like Detroit over Philly. Yeah, I think Detroit, just the way that they're built, their head coach, the confidence that he instills in his team, it's a hard team to like not root for. Again, it's not like I'm at home like, yay, go Lions, but just watching them and how they move and how they do things, I'm like, man, this is cool seeing this. And I think the way they're building it kind of reminds me of the 49ers. It's kind of sustainable. They just gave Jared Goff a ton of money. I think he's someone that's going to make sure that they're consistently in the mix. So I think you definitely have to go with them where it looks like they're trending up as opposed to the Eagles, who I don't think the Eagles would be bad, like terrible, but I definitely think they're trending a little bit more down, but obviously not too far down, being the third best team in the NFC.
The underrated move of the offseason is the Lions adding nose tackle DJ Reader to that defense, because that was one of the things that hurt them was their run defense, and he's the best run stuffing defensive tackle in the NFL. And did a number on the 49ers when they played against the Bengals when he was there. Aiden Hutchinson coming into his own. They've done a lot of work on the secondary, and they got good safeties. They drafted a first-round corner, Terrion Arnold. Brian Branch now in year 2 as like that really versatile nickel type player. Kirby Joseph at safety. They've got a lot of talent, and obviously we know they have one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams. Can he take another step with that speed that he has on offense? Jared Goff, really good quarterback now, kind of coming into his own. Sam Laporta. I mean, they're just good everywhere, and the way they play. I'm with you, man. And look, I was kind of rooting for Detroit last year. This is a team that my entire life, and my favorite football player of all time that's not a 49er was Barry Sanders. Every Lions game when I was growing up was fun to watch because Barry Sanders was on the field, and that team couldn't win. And so it was kind of nice to see the Detroit Lions win. And it was really cool that they were able to stop winning against the 49ers. And so the Niners could go on to the Super Bowl last year. But yeah, there's a lot to like about that Detroit Lions team, the way they're built, the way they play. Very similar to the 49ers, actually, in a lot of ways. So there it is. Detroit 2, Philly 3. And of course, the San Francisco 49ers, number 1 in the NFC Power Rankings in 2024. Let's go through the list one more time to remind everybody how it goes. San Francisco 49ers 1, Detroit Lions 2, Philadelphia Eagles 3, Green Bay Packers 4, Dallas Cowboys 5, Los Angeles Rams 6, Seattle Seahawks 7, Tampa Bay 8, Atlanta Falcons 9, Chicago Bears 10, New Orleans Saints 11, Minnesota Vikings 12, Arizona Cardinals 13, New York Giants 14, Washington Commanders 15, Carolina Panthers 16th ranked team in the NFC, according to Peacock on Locked On 49ers NFC Power Rankings 2024.
As you're reading it off, it's just confirmed. Not a bad list at all. And I would like to see, in the comments where some people have some of these teams slated. Like, are we too low on the Bears? There's a lot of hype surrounding them right now, which is, a lot of youthful moves. Also getting some veterans in there. Keenan Allen at the receiver position to go with DJ Moore, to go with Adunze, the young guys. So if the defense can continue to play well, offense get things going, how scary of a team can they be?
Yeah, no, I like on paper what they're doing. Kind of need to see it. It's hard with the rookie quarterback, but it's not like they were getting amazing quarterback play before, right? And they were an improved team last year. They were starting to figure it out, starting to win some games. So, yeah, we'll see. They're an interesting team that probably has a lot of mobility up or down the list, obviously, depending on how Caleb Williams' career goes. Fascinating team to watch. I'm going to be tuned into Chicago Bears teams games. I already have been because I was invested in the whole 2021 draft and Justin Fields, and I was like, how's this going to go? How's this build going to go? I've been paying very close attention to the Chicago Bears and how that thing's been going. Let us know at BD Peacock, at Crocky209. Drop a comment on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe while you're there and everywhere you listen to this podcast. Croc and I back next week for pods this week. It was a little bit of an odd week timing-wise, so apologies to those listeners that love to have that thing first thing in the morning. We kind of had a different system going this week, but we'll be back to normal business here pretty soon here. And going through the off season, having some fun, getting you ready for training camp. Back next week right here. Locked On 49ers.